Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, even though we're having just like a regular discussion, I see, especially since I'm like fairly new to the entire social media thing. I'm trying to grow like a presence, but I've been around social media because we'll speak about it a little bit more in depth. My previous career was in music, so I managed like a bunch of artists in like the rave scene, like electronic.
Right on.
So that was the thing where it was like in social media
Never been to a rave, by the way.
that I'll have to take you to one.
That would be dope. I
You've
love that.
never been to a rave?
No, we'll talk about all this on the podcast too. Like,
That's
wait,
crazy.
how long do we have for the podcast?
An hour.
An hour? Okay, cool. Mics are working? All right, I'm ready to roll if you are. All right, we're live?
So you said you've never been to a rave.
No, but first off, who we got here today? What's your name, brother?
My name is Robert.
Robert, Georgio, nice to meet you. Appreciate
Pleasure to meet
for you setting this up. You got a pretty dope studio here.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
So, Robert, tell me, we just met about 30 seconds ago. What is it that you do?
So right now I'm currently working on going to law school. So I'm going to apply in the summer. I work in the legal field. My previous field was in music, which is why I decided to start this podcast. But right now I'm more so just doing management and legal work.
Right on. So you decided to start the podcast from music. How did I end up here? I don't do music.
It's funny because when I wanted to coordinate it around music in general, I quickly realized that wasn't me. Like, I wasn't just music because I started skateboarding when I was 8 years old.
So you look like you would be good at skateboarding.
Dude, I did that for
you got the Converses.
I did that for 12 years. And when I hit high school, I broke both of my ankles.
Oh, fuck.
But I was also wrestling. I started like doing Greco-Roman in middle school. I asked my stepdad, I was like, I watched a Brock Lesnar fight and his thing was wrestling. So I was like, you know what? I want to get into that. And he's like, okay, well, kickboxing is too expensive. Okay, well, you want to go to this jiu-jitsu gym? It's too expensive. But right down the street, they were doing Greco-Roman at the high school for summer. And then that happened. Then I started wrestling for the high school all 4 years. And then in my junior year, I broke both of my ankles. So I was kind of out in that one.
You broke them skateboarding or wrestling?
Skateboarding.
Wow. Damn.
I was doing like a varial hill flip off of like 7 stairs. And then
We got a video of that?
I don't.
No. Oh.
But like the wheels were up. So when I was doing a varial hill, like my feet just kind of like rolled off of both of them.
What is a varial hill? Is that what the name of it?
Yeah, it's like a shove it and a hill flip.
Okay.
And then when that happened, one of them, the first one broke because that was the one that took most of the weight. Then I had tried to like put my weight back on the other one, and that one fractured.
Dang.
So I was out for like 6 solid months. But
breaking one ankle is enough. Breaking two.
Yeah.
What, you had to be in a wheelchair, or how did you get around?
no, since this one was just like a minor hair fracture, I was okay with just like putting, light weight on it. For like the first 2 weeks, I couldn't really do nothing. But after that, it was like I just wanted to fast track getting back to skateboarding and wrestling. And that was like a majorly terrible idea because I just ended up making it worse.
Yeah, you gotta definitely. One thing with wrestling I know is sometimes like just the way our minds are is like when we're injured, we want to kind of keep pushing through it, but you definitely need to take the time to heal because it's going to affect your performance for sure if you don't. But
So that's what happened. And then eventually I had a shitty senior year. I didn't do anything. I stopped that. And then I tried to do like one semester of wrestling at Mount Sac, like the local community.
like a club team?
I was not like, my mind wasn't there anymore for wrestling. And I started partying and doing a bunch of drugs and drinking alcohol. And then eventually I was like, I'm tired of doing all the drugs. How do I make this a career? And then I met the right people. And then it just kind of accumulated into one artist. And then it went on to being, I'm managing 9 different artists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how would you say in the music game, were you pretty high up? I'm not too familiar with like the music world or how that works. Like you did raves.
Yeah.
That's dope.
In terms of like high up, I wouldn't consider myself because there are guys that were managing like, Marshmallows and stuff like that, like those guys and DJ Snakes. Like I would consider that like a high caliber level. But in terms of like being able to ask for favors or at least making money off of it, I was making a living off of it, which was great. And that's not a lot that people can say that they were doing.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
I did that for about 5 years, 6 years. And then eventually, when COVID happened, it kind of ruined my love for that. And I just eventually moved on from that because I was always doing like managing, and then started managing at the airport that was like by my house, and then decided I wanted to go to law school, and that was that.
That's what's up. I've always wanted to go to a rave. Never been to a rave.
I'll take you on.
So that would be dope, bro. I know in Ohio where I'm from, I think it's what Lost Lands is in Ohio, but never officially been to a rave, and it's definitely on the bucket list.
I had an artist play that one.
Really?
Yeah, I'll have to show you afterwards too.
Yeah. Who was the artist?
VRG.
I wouldn't know. I don't listen to much music anymore. I typically listen to a lot of just like podcasts and different informational things. I used to listen to music when I would work out, but since I have cauliflower ear, I can't fit a headphone in this ear. And so I would always just wear one. And then when I started doing social media, I was like, always find myself having to like unplug my headphones so I can film. So I was just like, you know what, like I'm not even gonna listen to music now. And then, but the rave scene is, man, it looks so fun. It looks so fun.
That's insane because like a college guy like you that comes from Ohio, like, and you've never been to a rave.
Never, brother.
You seem like the type of guy that's kind of like pent up energy, like a lot of energy, and like likes to let loose.
Definitely like to have fun off of the mat a little bit for sure.
And the LA parties, like I know you probably went to a few of them. It's nothing in comparison to like the magic of a rave.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like
nothing.
I've been to a lot of like LA parties out here with celebrities and whatnot, and it's for me, it's like it's still just like a regular party kind of, just with just famous people, I guess. There's nothing really too crazy special about it. I mean, I guess if you're coming, like when I had first moved out here, if I would have went to one of those parties, I would have thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. But after being out here and, being friends with all of them, it just becomes like, it's a normal party, it's like, just like back home, you go to party with your friends. It's like, you do the same thing here. It's nothing like too crazy. But I have seen some things out here in LA.
Yeah.
At some parties, that's for sure.
Yeah, dude, trust me. And it's like some of that stuff you can't even go back and tell people because you're just like, they wouldn't believe
you.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Literally, like, LA is a crazy place. Yeah, especially when you're at these, I don't know if you call them A-listers or what they call them. I wouldn't say they're A-listers, but they're big time influencers, big time people, and it's very interesting. It's a whole nother world from where I come from. I come from a small town in the middle of nowhere in Ohio, and it's night and day. I'll say that.
That's for sure. I actually really love Ohio though, especially because like I'm so used to like the busyness of California. When I do go to Ohio, it's actually really fun just because you get to settle down. But it's definitely different.
I feel bored now when I go back. I feel like I'm wasting time.
Oh, you're a celebrity now, that's why.
I wouldn't say I'm a celebrity, but getting there, I guess. I don't care about the fame or the status really for me, bro. It's just that I'm just very grateful and thankful that I was able to find something that I love to do and be able to bring it to the internet and share it with people and, grow the sport of wrestling. I feel like it's the hardest sport in the world.
Yeah.
And it's the most underrecognized sport in the world. I feel like wrestlers don't get enough credit. I mean, the things that we go through as wrestlers, we literally defy the human odds of what the human body is supposed to do. And there's nothing like going into a room and grinding it out with your boys and just putting in hard work and training. Like, people can't do what wrestlers do. We're not normal people. We're not even close to being normal. And I know like a lot of times, sometimes wrestlers are misunderstood. And I think that just comes along with everything we have to do to be, I mean, when you get to a certain level, if you want to be the best, it takes a toll on your mind and your body. Right. And it's like, I know for me, when I was cutting weight and grinding, like I didn't really find anything really that enjoyable because I was so dedicated and focused on what I was trying to do that all the things other normal people would do and like have fun doing, I would just be cutting weight and dedicated and motivated on my goals. And so like it separates us from the norm of society sometimes when you're trying to be the best in the world. And I feel like when you're misunderstood, you're doing something right.
That's true.
You're not supposed to be understood by everybody. The only people that are going to understand you are the people that are trying to do the same thing you are.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrestling it's just trying to explain wrestling to somebody that like either isn't very physically active or doesn't or has been but that has never really defied the odds of what they can do. I always explain to people it's like imagine yourself dying and coming back to life but being happy that you came back to life. And like that's wrestling because you're grinding it out. We used to grind it out in the rooms for like 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. And you get that dopamine when you're just like, okay, after the first hour, you're not tired anymore. It's more like if we're going to grind and if we're going to die, we're going to die on the mats here.
Absolutely.
And it seems really, really extreme to like the normal eye, but that's just what made it so fun.
Yeah.
Was that it was extreme.
It's literally it's brute force against brute force. It's grind against grind. Who's going to give up first? Who wants it more? And it's funny about wrestling compared to all other sports. I was just training with Jason Miller Mayhem, who's the UFC fighter, yesterday, and we were having this conversation. I told him, I was like, if you take a top athlete in any other sport and you try and put him in wrestling, he's not going to be good for a long time. And he looked at me. He disagreed with me. But he was like, if I took Muhammad Ali and put him to wrestling for 6 months, he'd be throwing jabs at you. I'm like, bro, you can't throw jabs in wrestling. He's like, oh, well, he would be putting up a fight. I'm like, dude, I don't care who it is. No. Muhammad Ali himself. You're telling me 6 months and he's going to be good at wrestling? I promise you, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a lot longer than 6 months to get good at wrestling.
A lot longer.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand. Some other sports you can go into and you can be good in 6 months, but wrestling is a sport that you can't become good at in 6 months. You have to live and breathe wrestling to be good.
If you're going to do it and if you're expecting to be good in 6 months, you need to be training at least like 2 times a day. 3, but even then,
then you're not going to be. You can train 2-3 times a day for 6 months. You're not going to be good.
It's that muscle memory of doing it for years and like failing over and over in certain positions and spots.
Years and years, muscle memory, a repetition. It takes 10,000 reps to master a move. I mean, you can practice 5 times a day for 6 months if you want. You're still not going to be to the level of what I would consider good. And then you got average, you got good, you got great, and you got excellence.
Yeah.
So there's always another level. It's always evolving. I mean, you see me, I do the takedown challenges, right? I haven't been taken down yet. That's kind of what my brand is built around. But if you go and you look at the best guy, the best wrestler in the world, the Olympic champ, those guys are still getting taken down. Yeah. Those guys are still losing matches. Wrestling is just one of those things where every guy has his day. Every dog has his day. It's a match. You can win or lose a match in literally a split second that will determine, you getting your hand raised or not. Like, it's so crazy. I've seen so many matches go south in the last second of a match. It's just like, it's just crazy. I mean, how many times people hit the buzzer beater in basketball sometimes to win, but in wrestling it happens way more often. The match isn't over till it's over, and it's like you can't stop wrestling ever. And like it's one of those things that people literally they have to fight to the end, and if you give up in any moment, it could be over for you. Like, you can't waste a second in the sport of wrestling. I've seen so many matches go one way or the other with 0.5 left, like myself, I remember one match I was competing at down in Florida. It was the Disney Dolls. I was versing this Illinois state champ, and I think he had hit me in like a Peterson, and he had scored some points and he was up. Well, there was 9 seconds left and I needed 3 points with 9 seconds. And my mind was like, fuck, I'm better than this kid. I can do this. Right off the whistle, I have to explode. I exploded up, got 1 point, took him down, and I won. I think it might have went into overtime. And yeah, it did go into overtime. And then when it went into overtime, I hit him with a duck under and I scored. It's like, I had 9 seconds to score 3 points. 9 seconds isn't a lot of time.
At all.
But when you're in a wrestling match,
It's a lot of time.
it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
So it's just like, you can always win the match. And I've seen guys that were destroying guys, about to text somebody, get caught on their back and pin. It's just like, wrestling is a crazy sport, bro.
And then it's super extreme. It's such a crazy sport, but like, that's kind of what I was going to ask you next. Like, when you started the takedown challenges, like, most of these people do not understand how extreme that is to like take you down, somebody like of your caliber to take you down. Why did you start this? Like, what was the whole idea of take me down, get $1,000?
So the whole idea for me, there were a couple of different ideas behind it. There are a lot of times I've seen too many, like, just like people that would, even like my own friends that never had like wrestled me, just bigger people saying, oh, like, be honest, if we were to fight, it would be close or I would win. And I'm like, bro, you have no idea what you're saying. You have no idea the level it takes to get to where somebody like me is at. So one of my reasons was Bradley Martin was talking trash on the internet. He's saying, oh, I'm 260, I can beat everybody. I'm like, bro, because you're 260 doesn't mean anything. If you don't know how to fight, you don't know how to fight. You could be as big as you want. It does not matter. It does not matter. If you do not fight, I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how big you are. If you're not a trained killer, you are not going to beat me. And so my thing was, I wanted to show the world how important combat and self-defense is to be able to protect yourself and show the difference between of somebody being big and somebody knowing what they're doing. I wrestle a lot of these big guys who I'm like, what's the chance you're going to take me down? They're like 10 out of 10. I just laugh in my head. I'm like, bro, you have no idea. And you are the example of why I'm doing what I'm doing, to show people that size does not matter. The only thing size may matter in is like what, maybe football. But in the sense of a fight or wrestling, it does not matter. And a lot of times, you know what? This is another thing that bothers me a lot too. I'll do these takedowns with these big guys and people will be like, oh, well, it's not a fight. He would beat you in a fight. In my head, I'm like, bro, there's no way he's beat me in a fight either, because I'm going to take him to the ground and he's not going to be able to get up. If I'm fighting a big dude, I'm not standing up. I'm not trading punches with him. I'm taking him to the ground and I'm going to be on top of him and I'm going to maul his face in. That's like people understand the wrestling thing now that I'm doing it, but one thing that people don't understand that I get in my comments is, oh, well, if it were a street fight, it would be different. Like, it would not be different. It would not. It would not be different.
Because even if he threw a punch, I'm slamming it on his head. Like,
if you're in striking range, you're in takedown range. Yeah. And if I'm in a real fight with a real component that's way bigger than me, and I know if he hits me one time, he can knock me out, I'm not wasting a second. You can try and throw your punch, but I'm going to be on your legs and you're going to be on your back and eating my fists to your face before you know it. That really bothers me about people. They're like, oh, just it's wrestling, but he would win the fight. Bro, he would not win the fight either. He wouldn't. I'll say right now, if I were to street fight Bradley Martin, I would whoop his ass. I'm taking him to the ground and he's not getting up.
So why hasn't that rematch happened?
He's scared. He won't wrestle me. The only reason he wrestled me the first time was because he got peer pressured by the fans. And if you look at the video, I was still holding the sign and I was looking away when he grabbed me to throw me down. I was trying to get him to come to the wrestling mat. He got peer pressured by the fans and he tried to cheap shot me. It didn't work. I went in, I got on his leg, I tripped him with my leg, and we landed on the gym floor. I will say this hurt a lot. All his body weight landed straight on my head. I like literally blacked out for a second, but I knew in that moment, Like, this is my time to shine. This is me making, the start to my wrestling career. And just, it's built in us wrestlers. Like, I wasn't going to stop. 99.9% of people would have given up as soon as they had all the weight on their head and they blacked out. I was seeing stars, but I wasn't giving that up. I knew what I was in for. I knew what I was doing. And I was motivated and dedicated enough to make sure people know that he's going down. And he's lucky we ran into the bench, so I stopped. But at that point, he was on the ground. And if we didn't run into the bench, if I would have stayed on top of him, I'm sorry, he's not getting up either. I would hold that man on the ground and embarrass him. He wouldn't be able to get off the ground.
So you guys have never talked about a rematch? Like, it's never...
He will never rematch me. He won't. I have talked to him before about it. The one thing he said to me is like, I would like to learn wrestling, but I don't want it on camera. And for me, it's like, I would like to teach you wrestling, but I would like to have it on camera. So he knows he can't fight. He's playing this image for himself where he thinks he's some badass and he's talking shit to all these UFC fighters and doing all this. Bradley Martin cannot fight. I mean, I seen the thing of Logan Paul, right? Where they fought. There was no video on that.
Logan whipped his ass.
Logan did. And my personal friends were there and told me exactly what happened.
You could see just from like the body energy.
The audio too. And you can hear the audio. And then the way after how like whatever they said, you could tell that Logan had just whooped his ass. But I got the insights of my friends that were actually there. Something like that, Brad doesn't want on camera because he's going to be exposed. Bradley Martin will never wrestle me again because he's scared.
Damn. That's crazy. And Bradley looks like, I'm pretty sure he's a really, really strong dude, but that's just how it is. That's just how the world works when you're just like that high level of a wrestler. It doesn't matter.
Even he could be as strong as he wants.
Did you see the Demetrius Johnson thing?
Strength. Say what?
Did you see the Mighty Mouse thing?
I didn't.
You know Mighty Mouse, right?
The boxer?
Demetrius Johnson?
Yeah, the boxer.
The UFC fighter.
I think I did. Oh, I watched that where, yeah, he told him in the podcast, Bradley was what would happen if we got into a street fight, and he was like, I would kill you. Oh. Yeah, I've seen that. And he's right, he would kill Bradley.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And it's funny because right after that video, right after that happened and Bradley was talking shit to Mighty Mouse, who's 125, by the way. The highest he weighs is like 145, 140 and cuts.
Doesn't matter. He would still kill Bradley.
And then you could see like 2 weeks later, he does like an open weight competition against other black belts, Mighty Mouse does, and he destroys the 275-pounder. Yeah. That's another black belt. That's a trained killer.
Bro, strength does not matter. I can eliminate all your strength with one move. If you watch the video where Bradley was trying to pick me up with both of his arms to pull me off his leg. Well, one, I'm smart enough to know that he's strong, so I wrap my leg around his and both my arms around his leg, and he can't lift me. You could be as strong as you want. You can't lift me from that position. If I have my legs wrapped around your leg and my arms wrapped around your leg and you try and lift me, the only thing that's going to do is help me take you down because you're leaning back and you're going to trip yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Strength is irrelevant in a fight.
Yeah.
It's a very, very small part of it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more so, in my opinion, like the cardio aspect, especially because majority of people, especially when they explode, they only have 30 seconds in them. Like, how do you fare after that 30 seconds? And now all of a sudden, like, you're seeing stars and you're spinning and you're trying to breathe. And now all of a sudden your nose doesn't work. You can't breathe through your nose. So now you're trying to breathe through your mouth. And it's just like, it's a demeaning feeling.
When you can't breathe, all technique goes out the window. Mm-hmm. If you can't breathe, it's like your first day of wrestling. You lose all your technique because you can't do anything. If you can't breathe, you can't do anything. Mm. So you have to be in top-notch shape. But what I think that I do different, that makes my takedown series so entertaining is I'm not going a full match. I'm going 3 takedowns with these people, and I'm making it entertaining. One thing I always thought about is, like, why from high school to college do they make the matches longer? Some of these wrestling matches, they're boring to watch.
Right.
I want to see action. So they try and make all these different rule changes to get more action. Bro, if you want action, make it 4 1-minute periods. Make that a match. You're going to have the most entertaining sport in the world because you got 1 minute to give it your all. And people are going to be going at each other like fucking wildfire.
Yeah.
Why make the match longer?
Like,
make it shorter and more entertaining. The fans want entertaining. They don't want to sit there for more hours watching these boring matches and people stalling and watching people barely do anything because I have all this time and they're filling each other out. No, make the matches 4 1-minute periods. Watch how exciting the sport gets.
Right.
Look at what I do, how much I've been able to grow. I go 3 takedowns and every single one of my videos are entertaining. You watch one of my videos and you want to watch the next and you want to watch the next, you get hooked because it's entertaining, it's quick to the point, and that's what people like. People's mind spans, their attention spans, they're too short nowadays to watch a full match. I mean, I go and I was watching the finals of the NCAAs on YouTube the other night. And I'm like, it's hard to get through the full match. And these are some of the best guys there are. Just because it's boring, because there's too much time in between. There's nobody scoring. I want to see action. Everybody wants to see the action.
Right.
So if the NCAAs or USA Wrestling or whoever wants to listen to me, you want to make the sport more exciting, don't add time. Make the time less. Give them less time to score. Watch how exciting the sport gets. It's going to go crazy. They want to see action. They don't want to see you dolly-gagging around for 6 minutes. They want to see takedowns. They want to see entertaining stuff. They want to see people going at each other. I mean, do you agree or disagree? What do you think on that?
No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Because it gets boring, because then these wrestlers, like, they start stalling a lot. They start stalling the positions that they have. Like, if they're up by 3 points, they'll stall it. Like, they'll start stalling a lot. And that it's the same thing in jiu-jitsu, because that's the same problem that jiu-jitsu has as well. There's like a lot of these jiu-jitsu grapplers will try and like stall because they know they can beat the timer. But if you're just going in these short periods, there's gonna be zero room for error in those scenarios. I agree. I absolutely agree.
I think that is what the sport has been missing for a long time. I think make the matches shorter, watch the action get better. The fans are gonna love it. The sport's gonna grow. I mean, I don't know who I have to have this conversation with, but I mean, it's just the smart thing to do.
I think it is. I think so. I think something really does need to change because, like, we'll get into this a little bit right now, but a specific creator said that the sport of wrestling is poor because it is not entertaining, I believe, or something like that. Which to some extent you can agree, but it's only for the hardcore fans to really look at it and be like, I was a wrestler. I can sit through these long 10-minute matches or 15-minute periods. And
you're talking about Muggsy.
I'm talking about Muggsy.
All right. So you've seen the controversial that...
Is the beef real?
Is the beef real? I don't know. Is the beef real? I don't know. I'll say one thing.
I'll say this. I'll bet $1,000 that he won't take you down.
I bet $1,000 he won't take me down while I'm blindfolded. I'll wrestle him blindfolded, and he still won't take me down.
$1,000, Muggsy.
Blindfolded too.
That's crazy.
Fuck, $1,000. I'll make it $5K blindfolded if Muggsy takes me down. Muggsy's not going to take me down. I'll wear a blindfold and I'll put it to $5K. I'm still waiting to hear.
How come that match has not happened?
It's not happening because it's not happening because of me. I can tell you that. I'm ready to go.
Where is he from? Like, where is he from?
Where is he from?
Is he from California? You don't know?
I don't know where he's from. I will say, though, like, outside of things, I think Muggsy, what he does for the sport is beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think he brings a lot of eyes and attention to the sport of wrestling. I love what he's doing for the community of wrestling. I think it's great. I think we need more people like him and myself to promote the sport of wrestling. But I will say that I'm a real wrestler, and Muggsy's not a real wrestler.
And he's
a hobbyist.
For me, that's because that's what I had said. I said Muggsy was a hobbyist, and I didn't mean this in a bad way. Like, I got a bunch of DMs because I think I commented on one of your things.
Was that your comment?
That was my. That's comment.
So funny because I didn't like click on your page or anything, but that's where I get this comment that I just brought up. That's so funny.
Because I've spent so many hours in the wrestling rooms, like jiu-jitsu, like doing jiu-jitsu, doing every type of martial art, right? And it doesn't bother me what he does because I think it's beautiful. But it's just, he's a hobbyist. And like, for the real wrestlers that have wrestled, it rubs them the wrong way a lot because I think for the most part, he's doing a lot of great, but the most that a lot of fans pay attention to is kind of like the circus acts or like the circus stuff, and they take it a little bit of the wrong way. There's a lot of the things that I don't agree with, but at the same time, I just appreciate what he does for the community.
Yeah, I would say I mean, I don't follow his content that closely to know what I don't agree with,
I
but
did until I did until I realized that he was kind of just like wrestling high school kids. And like, you're willing to wrestle 300-pound men. Do you get what I mean? Like,
there is a big difference between the two. I
does
do.
that make sense? I don't want it to come off
No,
like in a rude way.
no,
Because I got
bro.
a lot of DMs were like, "Oh, you're an idiot. You're an asshole. This,
Forget
that."
the DMs,
And I was
bro.
like, "Whatever.
I don't
You don't
care what
understand.
anyone
They don't
says.
understand."
Yeah, do you, bro? Don't let the DMs get to you. You should see some of the DMs I get,
Oh,
bro. Don't let the DMs get to you. I don't care. Hate is love too, brother.
mm,
If you taking the time to comment on my posts, whether it's hate or love, it's all love to me. Still help me grow.
mm,
Thank you for watching. You know, say what you have to say. Doesn't bother me one bit. I'm
yeah.
gonna continue to do me, and I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. And you can have your opinion on it, but you're not gonna make me think about it. I'm gonna continue doing me. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. The haters are my lovers, and they don't even realize it.
They would never wrestle you. That's for sure.
Nah, man, never.
No.
And I see it's so funny. I have like, bro, I have people that comment on my posts and they're like, "Oh, I would smoke you. You're not even good, bro." I click on their page, I look at them, and I just start laughing. I'm like, "Are you serious, bro? Like, are you serious, bro?"
It's
Like,
so crazy. Like, and I hate talking about this with like regular people because they don't understand. But it's just a different world when you're trying to wrestle elite athletes, like, or people that are just killers. Like, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't take that guy down. Like, you wouldn't hurt this guy or that guy. And it's just crazy. It's like,
most men are scared to ever be in a fight, but behind a screen, they'll say whatever they want. But when it's in person, they're not even gonna look at you.
I'm not throwing punches. The first thing I'm thinking of if a guy's rushing towards me is I want to get a hold of you, grab you, and mitigate the situation. And I'm not going to be like nice about it. But, you know, like, that's just the thing that a lot of people don't understand about wrestling.
Yeah.
It's there and it's readily available for wrestlers or grapplers to do.
I'll say one thing about myself is I've been in more fights than I can count. I've never started a fight, and I've never fought anybody that was smaller than me. It's always the big guys that think that they want to fight. Well, let me tell you something. Most people don't want to fight the big guys, so the big guys haven't really been in fights and they don't know how to fight. And when they mess with somebody that they don't know who they are and they get their first ass whooping, they question it after that. I'll tell you what, man. I've literally never fought somebody even close to being the same size as me, only bigger. And every time their confidence is through the roof, they're talking shit, they're going to do all this and that. You want to know something? It always ends with them begging me to stop. So I think you big guys got to be a little bit more careful, excuse me. And it's not that I have not every big guy is the same. There's a lot of big guys that are super respectable, but a lot of big guys like to mess with the little guys if they're out drinking at bars or all this and that. Well, I'm praying that you don't run into somebody like me at the bar that's going to make you reevaluate your whole life real quick.
Yeah.
It's another thing about me too. I always like to, I wrestle, but if I'm fighting somebody like Bradley Martin, I'm taking him to the ground if they're that big and that strong. But most of the big guys are just big guys. And for me, I always start in a fight because I know I'm going to win them all. Other than like if they're a trained athlete, maybe I'll lose. But the first thing I do before I get in a fight is I look at their ears. If their ears don't look like mine, I know I'm winning. And that's what people don't understand. Like, and there were times where I was going to get in a fight with somebody and we recognized each other's ears and we squashed the beef.
Yeah.
But if their ears don't look like mine, it's an automatic win. But when I do fight, one thing I say is like, I always like the guy like to have a fair chance. Like I'll give him a fair chance. So what I mean by that is when I'm getting in a fight, I'll always start on my feet and I'll always start trading punches. But if I'm getting outboxed, he's going to the ground and he's not landing another punch. But I think it's kind of fun for me to, if I'm going to get in a fight, to see where my hands are at because I know it's weaker than my wrestling. And so, I mean, I'm not going to say I enjoy fighting, but actually I kind of love it.
Do you have any plans to like do MMA at all? That was something I was really interested in.
The
in
number
knowing.
one question I get asked is why am I not doing MMA or why am I not in the UFC? So my goal is a little bit different. Yes, I know and I believe in myself as other people see and tell me, and they believe in me as well, that if I were gonna go into the UFC, that I would be a UFC champ. I wouldn't try to go into the UFC if I wasn't going to be the champion. The reason that I'm not going into the UFC right now, there's a couple reasons. One, I know the dedication that I would have to have and the pain I would have to put my body through, the pain I would have to put my mind through, and all the sacrifices I would have to make. They are the hardest working athletes in the world. They're killers. They're killers. And for me, after wrestling, I enjoy what I do now, and I like the life I live, and I love the way I'm able to still do what I enjoy and be able to promote the sport. My goal isn't necessarily to be in the UFC. My goal is to be the first ever influencer to actually fight a UFC guy for like a money fight outside of the UFC without being in the UFC.
So like just for charity?
Not for charity necessarily. I mean, if there's a good cause, like I wanted to wrestle Muggsy to save the CSU program, that was for charity. For me, I feel like that would be to support my brand and help me do bigger and better things within the community and be able to make more of a difference in this sport, take my content to another level, and then be able to kind of give back to the wrestling community in the ways that I choose. So that wouldn't necessarily be for charity. That would be to be able to help the sport of wrestling in the ways that I want to do it.
Have you ever thought about starting like influencer grappling?
Influencer grappling.
You know how they have boxing and stuff like that?
I do. I think that is, I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on it, but I think that's something that's coming very soon. Yeah. But it'd be a really cool
I think
idea.
that would go really hard. Like,
I think so
not
too.
you don't need a big venue. You could do it at like in the back of like a mansion and just sell like private tickets. And
Oh,
then
well, if it's influencer grappling, it's going to be a big venue. That's
I think
the
it would be
point of
really
doing
fun.
influencers.
I
Yeah.
100% think it would be fun to see like these influencers kind of just put in
I think it's
the time and
coming.
effort,
I think it's coming very soon.
and you have the main event.
Huh?
You have to main event that.
Me have the main event there?
Yeah.
Good luck finding another influencer that's going to do it with me.
Hey, I think Muggsy will do it.
You're funny.
I think Muggsy will do it. We'll hit him up. We'll call him. He can come on the podcast.
I've talked to him a couple times. I'll tell you this, man. Muggsy does well for the sport of wrestling, and I appreciate
Seems
what
like
he
a really
does.
great guy.
Yeah.
Seems like a really great guy.
I have nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah.
The beef between me and Muggsy, just trying to get him to wrestle me. I'm trying to give the people what they want, and I think it'll really help the sport. But I think that he also knows how that's going to go. And to be honest, I don't think he really cares to be seen with me just dogging on him. Like, I don't think that's what he cares about. I think he knows how the match would go, and I think that he's okay with letting the internet see that. I mean, look at Caden. Caden destroyed him.
I watched that actually.
I'm also friends with Caden. But I think there's also another wrestler on the internet, Jacob Howland. I talked to him
Jay
as
Howland.
well.
Yeah,
I think
him.
it's Instagram's like Juggernaut or something
Yeah.
like that. But I think that out of all of them, he would give me the best match, and we are also lining that up. But I want to wrestle all three of them. I think between the three of them, that not one of them scores on me at all.
Not even Caden.
Not even Caden. I don't think Caden scores on me.
Those are crazy words.
Those are true words. Caden does not score on me in a wrestling match. We do my series. Caden's not coming close to scoring me. I'm even comfortable wrestling Caden blindfolded as well. He's not going to take me down. I know Caden is the better wrestler technique-wise than I would say Muggsy, obviously 100%. I think that he's too much smaller than Jacob for them to wrestle. Jacob's technique is very good. And we talked. I was very surprised to hear that he never placed at the state tournament. But but he had some tough draws throughout his districts. But I mean, Jacob's technique is great. Caden's technique is great. His technique is okay. I think my technique outdoes all theirs without any controversial. Like, I think everyone would agree. I think my technique is better than all theirs.
Right. And I want to like, I'll glaze you up for a little bit because I think one of the most things that's like impressive to me is your ability to kind of just like change direction when something may be going in a direction you don't want it to be. It's like you're never off balance anywhere. Like if you're in a single leg and somebody's driving you forward, you just know exactly what you're doing in every scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to give you some props.
Thank you for that. I think another thing that some people do realize is I try harder against certain people than I do others. But I always try and make the matches as entertaining as I can. So I do make myself vulnerable sometimes, and to let people get close to scoring, I give them a little bit of false hope. Sometimes I'll give them my leg, whatever it is, because I want it to make it interesting for the fans. If I went out there and just dominated everyone, which I mean I do, but I do it in an entertaining way, and I let people get close to scoring. But if I didn't, it wouldn't be as entertaining. So I let people get close, and I let people almost score, and I give them false hope so it's entertaining for the viewer. And then I'm confident in myself to let them get that close and be able to recover because I know what I'm doing so well.
You know, every time you hit that inside trip, it's just like, it's like beautiful.
Thank you.
Because you know it's coming. Like you see this guy just like, okay, all right, I'm squeezing. He thinks he's going to get the upper hand. You could see it too, like on their facial expressions. And then out of nowhere, there you go. You're changing levels and you just hit that inside trip. And I'm like, that's beautiful because your head's never out of place and everything about it is just perfect. And you could just see their demeanor just change. Like, oh my goodness.
That's the number one move people asked me to show them. Like for yesterday when I was with Mayhem, that was the move he asked me to show him. Like he was like, show me your inside leg trip. I need to learn that. So it's like people love to see the inside leg trip. I have a lot of good technique on it. And there's a lot of moves I have in my arsenal. I mean, there's still room for me to improve though. You know.
Should we pour some more water before?
Bro, you read my mind. I was hoping that you would say that. We're gonna take a little water break here.
One minute.
I like the way you think, brother.
It's funny because this whole thing will not be cut. Well, it can. We can cut it just so.
Make it however you want. Just water, guys. Just water. It's a beautiful thing. You gotta stay hydrated.
Did you guys show up early? What time is their session?
Start time is
4:30.
What time is it?
3:50.
Oh, he's real early.
Yeah, we have some time. We're good now?
Oh yeah, I'll set.
All right. Yeah, we're back from
the
water
water
break.
break. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much needed to stay hydrated, guys. You know?
But yeah, I wanted to ask you too. Have you done any jiu-jitsu at all?
I do jiu-jitsu for fun. I do jiu-jitsu every once in a while. I've never like fully dove into jiu-jitsu and was like, I'm gonna do this every day and get really good at it. I used to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Mario Lopez. And then I used to go up to Lakewater Jiu-Jitsu. That's where I filmed with Mayhem yesterday. I actually just taught a wrestling course there because he lets me come in and do my videos there. So in return, I teach his kids, the jiu-jitsu people. I taught them a wrestling class. I gave them like a seminar. But right now, a question I get asked is, where can I learn wrestling? People are asking me, well, there's not really a wrestling, like, I guess, club like there is jiu-jitsu around a lot of places. So I always recommend people like, hey, hit up your local high school if they have wrestling. See if you can kind of go in there and learn that way. But I am going to start doing a wrestling seminar once a week at Lakewater Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to create something where people can reach out to me from my Instagram if they want to be on it. It'll be like private class. And then I'm also creating a course right now. That's a big request, is a course. So I'm in the process of doing a wrestling course. And
That would be insane.
I think it's going to break wrestling.
That would be insane.
I think when I share the knowledge I have with the wrestling community, I think my wrestling course is going to break the sport of wrestling. I think that it's going to be really good and it's going to help people.
What is that? It's like a website where all the jiu-jitsu guys sell their courses.
BJJ Fanatics.
There we go.
I'm
BJJ
actually
Fanatics.
I'm doing my own wrestling course, and I'm actually doing a wrestling course for them as well. That's going to be on their site.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So that'll be coming soon. I'm actually filming that. I'm going to the NCAs this year from the 19th to the 23rd. I come back, and then I'm filming that course the day I get back until we finish it, maybe a couple days. So
yeah, that's good stuff.
Right around the corner.
I think seminars, I think one day especially you'll open up your own school, and I think that'll be a big thing because wrestling, especially whether it's in MMA or jiu-jitsu or whatever, it's still kind of, there's still a lot lacking.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu especially. And this is no disrespect to my jiu-jitsu guys because I'm a huge jiu-jitsu guy.
I love jiu-jitsu. I think it's great.
But the takedowns are just missing.
Yeah, I think it's two totally different sports. I don't think you can compare the one to the other. I do think that if you're a wrestler, it will help you with jiu-jitsu. I do also think that if you're a wrestler, it'll help you with football. I think that jiu-jitsu is a lot more slower paced, but I really like the concept of submitting and making someone tap out.
You know what would be interesting?
It's amazing.
This is just kind of like my dream scenario is to see you do an ADCC or like a
lot of people say that.
Or like a CJI, like, you know, Craig Jones.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he does his own event in Vegas too. He like competed with ADCC and it did pretty good. They do like $1 million for the winner of the.
I've seen that.
Lightweight
who
bracket.
was it? One of the wrestlers faced Ryan Gordon, I believe his name is.
Bo Nickel.
Bo Nickel.
That wasn't at ADCC though.
I'm actually in conversation with Bo Nickel right now about doing a video together. I'm gonna see him
That would be great.
at the NCAs.
I love Bo Nickel.
Yeah, he seems like a cool guy. I don't know him too well. Just talk to the DMs. And then the Gordon Ryan guy, he follows me as well. I got to reach out to him and try and make that happen too.
Gordon Ryan's the best.
Yeah.
Can't be denied.
No, it's really cool for me to see like these people that I'm fans of also being like big fans of me. It's super cool. It's so new to me. It's like, it's kind of coming to a full circle because I followed these people for a while, and then to see them follow me and to reach out to me and want to do stuff with me, dude, it's the best feeling in the world. And like, if you know combat people and you know influencers, the combat people that are influencers, they're still fighters, so the respect level is there. And it's like, you'll meet some influencers that are just douchebags, but when you meet a fighter that's an influencer, he's not a douchebag at all.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between the two. And, you know, there's good influencers too. There really is. But some of them are just full of themselves.
For me, it feels like the idea of influence is just kind of like, and I've thought about this in the back of my mind as well too, because this is like my passion project, which is just to speak to people, you know? But at the end of the day, I know that it's like, you have to be on this routinely business basis. Like everything you have to do is be coordinated. And I feel like influencers get stuck in that routine to where it's hard for them to have genuine moments and connections with a lot of people. And some take it the wrong way. And then there's others like, you know, fighters are very genuine at the end of the day. They influence because of who they are. But then you have the other side of influencers that influence because of what they want to tell you.
Exactly. I think you hit that right on the nail. So I would say that a lot of influencers, they make their videos and they make their videos for the people and not themselves.
Yeah.
Um, but you have both types, like somebody like me that I make the videos for the people, but it's what I love doing. A lot of influencers don't love what they do. It just works for them. And so that's why they do it. And so for me, it's like I'll never do something that I don't want to do. Like, so when I dropped out of college, I kind of lost my love for the sport of wrestling. And I wanted to be a fitness influencer. Coming from where I come from, my dad was Mr. Ohio. He was a bodybuilder. And I was a big fan of Bradley Martin at the time. I was watching all the YouTubes.
Your dad was Mr. Ohio?
Yeah, my dad was Mr. Ohio
That's
for bodybuilding.
insane.
Yeah, that's where I get
I
my
don't mean
genetics.
to cut you off, but I was just about to say that's where the genetic.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm on steroids. A lot of people comment I'm on steroids and shit. I'm just like, bro, if you were to see my family, I'm the smallest one in my family. I'm
Right.
one of 5, 3 boys. I'm the middle child, 2 sisters. My older brother is massive. Then there's me. My younger brother is pretty massive. And then, it's just like, I was born into the sport of lifting. And I'll tell you what, I enjoy lifting and creating the art of my body almost as much as I enjoy wrestling. So when I kind of lost my love for the sport of wrestling, even while I was wrestling, I knew what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a fitness influencer. But before I did that, there was one goal. One thing I always wanted to do was coach my little brother on the high school team. So I became the high school coach for a year. And this was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. Was my brother was a junior. I was his coach his junior year. His senior year, I left to LA. That was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life because it was like I was leaving my little brother. But I felt like I had to be a little selfish for myself because I felt like if I didn't get my career started now, that, it may not happen because I was getting older. I had a job working for my uncle. I was getting comfortable, and that scared me.
Right.
I'd had my life figured out, and I was in a routine where I was comfortable, and that scared me.
Yeah.
And I felt like if I didn't leave now, that I'd never chase my goals. And another thing that comes along with that is like when I told my parents I was gonna move, they more than just my parents as well, but when I told really anyone I was gonna move that cared about me, they were like, "You're delusional. That's a fantasy life. Like, what are you doing? You need to continue. You're doing great here. You need to do what you're doing here. Like, it's just not reality." And you know what? I listen to all those people because I know they say those words out of care. But to me, maybe it's not their reality because what I wanted to do was given to me by God, and that was the vision that God installed in me. And God sent me that vision and that image of what I was meant to do. And maybe they couldn't see it because it wasn't for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listened to them, but ultimately I'm going to do whatever I feel like I should do. And, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to move to LA and become a fitness influencer. And so I did. And I built my socials up off of fitness. On Instagram, I had like 90K from fitness. Snapchat, I had like almost 300K from fitness. TikTok, I had like 90K from fitness. And YouTube, I had like 9K. But that was what I wanted to do. And so I did it. And I think a lot of times people tell us things out of care. But I also think that a lot of times they try to give you advice on something that they've never tried to go and do themselves.
Right.
Because I know all those people never tried to move to California and do what I was planning to do.
Yeah.
So it's only as real to them as they can imagine it, and it's very important to take action on your dreams because this life is too short.
It's a very scary thing, trust me. And, I was kind of dealing with that for a long time, especially when music kind of ended for me. I was like, well, damn, like maybe it just wasn't for me. But then I found like this new love for just life in general. And I was like, you know what? Like, I've done a lot of things in a lot of different industries. And the one thing I never really did for myself was kind of be passionately obsessive over me. And for the last year, that's kind of just what I've been doing, which is just full throttle, doing whatever I possibly can to get where I want to be. And, you know, you still have family and friends that are just kind of like, what are you doing? You know, you should settle down and be comfortable. But life has been working for me ever since I've just been uncomfortable.
You don't grow when you're comfortable. The growth comes in uncomfortable situations.
Yep.
If you're comfortable, I feel sorry for you. You need to fix that.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable is where you grow and where you make progress and where you learn and start to blossom.
The minute I started to take it to those extremes, it's like my life was completely different a year ago. To where it is now, it's like that extreme is necessary.
Yeah.
And you have this short window to do it.
And next year, your life will be completely different again.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you're on the road to creating what you want your life to look like. And so you got to keep creating and creating and creating. And eventually you'll get there. And you know what? When you get there, you won't even realize you're there.
Yeah. It'll just be like second nature.
You. Yeah. If you would have told me before I moved out here and I was watching these YouTube videos in the basement at my mom's house that I would be friends with all those people and I would be an influencer with my status today, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have known what to thought. But I'll tell you one thing, it would have been great to hear. And so I look back at myself now, and nobody ever told me that because nobody ever believed in me.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere in my mind, even if I would have heard that, I wouldn't have known really what to think. But somewhere in my mind, I knew that it was always going to happen. I have videos of myself my freshman year of college. I just remember videoing in the dorm, telling my friends, hey, like, what do you think if I were to drop out and move to California? You know, and it's just like, they said what they said. And they'll say what they say, but I can tell when somebody means it and when somebody doesn't. And I think a lot of people thought it was kind of a joke. I don't think anybody took it seriously. I don't think anybody really thought I was going to do it until I did it. And I think it was, for me, the best thing I could have done. But it was also a very, very, very scary thing. You know, moving across the whole country, not knowing anybody, right?
Yeah.
And here's me, bro. Like, I was a quiet kid. I didn't really have many friends or talk to many people. But I knew that if I was moving out here to restart my life, that I was going to have to talk to people.
Yeah.
So I made it a goal for myself every day to start conversation with people in the gym. I made it a goal for myself every day to go to the gym and network. And anytime I ever seen somebody out in public with a camera, I made it a point to go and talk to them.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do. And that was so hard for me to do because I didn't like talking to people I didn't know. I was scared almost to talk to somebody I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I knew that's what I had to do, and I was okay with that. And at first, you could tell I was nervous in these conversations, but I was trying. And over time, it just becomes natural. I can talk to anybody now and not think twice about it. But if you take me back 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be pissing my pants.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing when you see like guys want to get the hot girl, but they're like, what do I say? You know what I mean? So it's not until that you say something that you learn something, or until you try again. Just like with anything else, just like with wrestling, the first time you hit a move, it doesn't really feel right, but you continue to hit the move and then you get it.
Right.
And that aspect goes with every part of life. And being scared is an opportunity to grow. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
You're absolutely right.
I'm still scared of girls, by the way. Although I do have a beautiful girlfriend, and I ask myself every day how I landed that. Yeah.
It's because you're wrestling.
Because my wrestling.
Women love wrestling, believe it or not.
I think honestly, it was just kind of being who I am. Like I used to have this perspective that like girls liked the bad guy, right? And I feel like a lot of times that is true.
Mm,
But what I realize is girls just want somebody that has a good balance and somebody that can be themselves and somebody that's sweet
mm.
and cares. Like what let me ask you a question. What do you think girls are for on earth? What do you think they're for?
In what perspective?
Just
Like
what do you think girls are here for?
companionship, for me at least from a male's perspective, companionship. That's not generalization because women are human beings. But for me, I think women are here for companionship.
I would agree with that to an extent, but my answer to that would be is they're here for whatever they want to be here for. So if you show somebody who you are and you're somebody that they can see themselves being with, then they'll be here for you. But if you put up a fake image and you try and be somebody you're not to fulfill what you think they want, if they do fall for it, it's not going to work out.
Mm.
So it's a learning process of learning how to be yourself, and then you'll find the right girl. That would be my advice on it. But I'm still suck at talking to girls. I got lucky with this one.
Women are scary.
Yes, they are. Yes,
No, they're not scary.
oh, they scare
But
me.
but yeah, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I wish we had more time because I swear I feel like we could just talk for hours. We have to get together, hang out sometime.
Definitely, bro.
I'd love to train with you. I haven't trained in years, but
We should do
I would
it.
absolutely get on the mats just to train with you.
So what is you told me you wrestled for 4 years.
Mhm.
Any other martial arts?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. How many
Yeah.
years of jiu-jitsu?
Maybe around 2 or 3.
2 or 3. And how did you find me? How did you
Well, you're on the algorithm. You're everywhere.
what am I who you thought I would have been from the internet? Or what's like your perspective on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of had this idea of who you were and what like I kind of figured you'd be, which is right on the money. That's just because of my ability to kind of like read between the lines. I'd always thought that you'd be like the funny, loose, but you can switch to intense at any moment. And I feel like that's what makes you you, because not many people can like. That's like literally a personality trait where you can switch that. That's why people love you, because that's not normal. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do get what you're saying.
So, I mean, I was right on the money. And it's a good thing, but we're kind of like more in sync than I would have thought, because I'm a lot less intense than I was a few years ago. But it's cool to see you still have that. I think we're the same age, right? I'm 28.
I'm 26.
Okay, so
I'll
yeah.
be 27 next month. Next month. Wow. Hearing that is I'm getting old. Time flies.
My
bro.
hips are hurting, dude. I don't know why.
Oh, I feel
But
you. My whole body hurts.
Yeah, I can
Like,
imagine.
and I do these videos, bro. I got a busted lip. Yesterday, I bit a nice chunk out of the inside of my cheek. You can't see it, but I got a bruised eye. I touch it, it hurts. Like, these videos are hard on me. And then you got these girls out here. They just post a video of them walking and they're going viral.
And they're
Fuck.
going viral. And
Why
you're like,
couldn't it be
God
that
damn.
easy? I'm out here fighting men, and you're just
Life as a man is
Walking.
hard, dude.
yeah. It's very hard. I mean, it's hard as a woman too, but I think that men have to be the masculine and women are supposed to be the feminine. I think nowadays that's kind of distorted a little bit. I think nowadays a lot more women are masculine and men are feminine. But I'm a traditional guy and I believe in being the masculine. But it's some girls or the way they come up or what they have to fend for themselves just like guys. Everybody comes from a different scenario in their life to shape them, to give them the view and insights of who they are and what they've been through. I think it's something. One of my strong suits is being able to understand that people come from all different places, and the way that somebody reacts to a certain scenario is based off of what they've been through.
Mhm.
And I feel like my strong suit is understanding that, and also just being able to read energy. And in the room, I feel like if there was one thing I was gifted with other than wrestling, was just to have a very open mind and understanding of why people are the way they are. And I think psychology is very interesting in the way the human mind works. I think it's so fascinating. And I love it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Everybody watching this, you guys are all beautiful in your own ways. So just know that. And if today didn't go good for you or yesterday didn't go good for you, evaluate, understand why, see what you can change or do differently, and put it in the past because tomorrow's a new day. Don't let things affect you too long. It's not good. And don't think about the past too long either, because, I wasn't always happy and I didn't always love my life. And I found myself, thinking like, feeling depressed. And I was like, well, I was evaluating myself like, well, what's making me depressed? And I found out that every time I was feeling depressed, I was thinking about something in the past, something that was no longer relevant or mattered.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important to be in the present moment and create the best of the times that you have now. So for me, I know it's just like keeping my faith in God, working hard, and doing what I feel like I should, and just being myself. And when you're able to just be yourself and keep your faith in God and have hope and just keep moving, things typically start to unfold themselves and work out. But I'll tell you one thing that is also a game changer to that as well, in a different sense, is like doing hard things suck and you're not going to want to do them. But when you do hard things, it's going to pay off and you're going to feel a lot better after. I think that is like, we have the ability to control our lives, but one of the hardest things to do is to do something that's hard. We don't want to do it. But if we're able to overcome that in our head and do it and then do it again and again, then we start to look forward to it. And then we all of a sudden are creating the life that we wanted. But I think the human mind is a little bit fucked up, because it's like, to make progress, you have to do things that are hard. And to get fit, you have to eat healthy when it doesn't taste good. It's kind of messed up. Like, why can't I eat pizza and cupcakes and be healthy? Why can't the world just be all colors and beautiful? Why do I got to eat rabbit food and lettuce and carrots and all that to be fit? That's one thing I just, like, a personal thought in my head. I'm like, damn, like, if there was just a way that we could fix that.
Right.
Yeah. But it was a pleasure being here with you today, brother. Thank you for having me.
Man, let's not make this the last time, because I really like you as a person.
Thank you.
I think what you do for this sport and what you do for, just people in general is amazing. It's a blessing. I would like to get on the mats with you.
Let's do it.
As a respect thing, just because I know, just to be a part of your thing would be great to me.
Hey, bro, we could do a Take Me Down series too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could definitely roll around. And but if we roll around, you gotta take me to a rave, because I've never been to
Oh,
one.
dude, that's absolutely going to happen. I'll hit up my people. We'll get you
When's the next rave? Let me know, bro. I really want to go.
Every month. They're happening every month.
Around here?
Yep. So you heard that. I give him my word.
All right.
We'll do a series. He'll take me down at a rave.
At a rave.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Definitely
They have
an
grass
idea.
there, so we'll do it.
Be a first. Wrestling at a rave. I like it.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.